Hello friends. Today we are going to discuss about consideration. Consideration is one of the essential element of a valid contract. Consideration means something in return. It is the price for which the promise of the other is bought. It is used in the sense of quid pro quo, that is something in return. In an English case, Curry versus Misa, consideration was defined as a valuable consideration in the sense of the law may consist either in some right, interest, profit, or benefit accruing to one party or some forbearances, detriment, loss, or responsibility given, suffered, or undertaken by the other. The definition of consideration as given in section 2 subsection D of the Contract Act 1872, that is, when at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing, does or abstains from doing, or promises to do or to abstain from doing something, such act or abstinence or promise is called a consideration for the promise. The second definition is given by Sir Frederick Pollock. Consideration is the price for which a promise is bought and the promise thus given for value is enforceable. The third definition is given by Justice Patterson. He says that the consideration means something which is of some value in the eye of law. It may be some benefit to the plaintiff or some detriment to the defendant. We are going to discuss about essentials of a valid consideration. The first point is consideration must move at the desire of the promiser. The first essential element of consideration is that the act or abstaining must have been done at the desire of the promiser. For example, Baldev had promised to pay a commission on articles sold in his shop if Durga Prasad constructed the market. Later on, collector of the district requested Durga Prasad to construct the market. Durga Prasad constructed the market at the request of the collector, and then he demanded commission from Baldev. Held the promise of commission was not enforceable because the market was not constructed at the desire of Baldev, a promiser. So, second point is consideration may be paid by the promise or by any other person. Under this law, consideration must move from the promisee and promisee only. But under the Indian law, consideration may move from the promisee or any other person, that is, even a stranger, so it is immaterial who has furnished it. For example, an old lady made a gift for her property to her daughter with a direction to pay a certain sum of money to the maternal uncle by way of annuity. On the same day, the daughter executed a writing in favor of her maternal uncle, agreeing to pay the annuity. The daughter did not, however, pay the annuity, and the uncle sued to recover it. It was held that there was sufficient consideration for the uncle to recover the money from the daughter. The third point is consideration may be past, present, or future. There can be three types of consideration. The first one is past. When consideration has moved before promise is made, such consideration is called past consideration. Second one is present consideration. When the consideration moves simultaneously with the promise, the consideration is called present consideration or executed consideration. All examples of such sales are example of present consideration. And third one is future or executory consideration. When the consideration is to move after the promise is made, it is called future consideration. Here the promise to be performed in future. The next and fourth point is the consideration must have some value. It need not to be adequate. The value must be of economic character. It may vary small, but it must be there. The law insists the presence of consideration and not on the adequacy of it. The law will not enforce a promise given for nothing. For example, A agrees to sell his flat to B. The market value of the flat is rupees 7 lakh. However, A agrees on the consideration of rupees 70,000. In this case, so long as consent of A is not obtained by coercion, undue influence, fraud, or mistake, the contract is absolutely legal even though consideration is only 10% of the market value. The next point is consideration must be real. Consideration must be real. The consideration should be real, that is, it must not consist of impossible act or promise. It must not be illusory or sham. Example, to discover a treasure by magic. So the impossibilities can be a physical, legal, or illusory consideration. The first one is physical impossibility. P promises to take R to heaven alive if the latter surrenders all his wealth to the former. P's promise is impossible and hence it has no value in the eyes of law. The second one is legal impossibility. A files a suit against B for non-payment of a debt. B feels disturbed and approaches A's brother C, whose promises to withdraw the suit for consideration of rupees 2000. Here, what C is promising is legally impossible. Suit can be withdrawn only by A and only not by C. Illusory consideration means A owns some money to be repayable on 10th March. A tells B that if the latter does not pay his debt by 10th March, he would file a suit against B. B promises to pay the money by 21st March and A agrees to it. But later on, A decides to file a suit against B on 10th March. B takes a plea that the suit should not be maintained in view of agreement between the two that the payment would be made on 21st of March. B's plea would not be sustained because there is no consideration for A's agreement to extend the time to 21st March. Next point is consideration may be an act of doing or abstaining from doing something, or it may It may be an act of forbearances or abstinences. A person may promise to do something or not to do something, or refrain from doing something for a promise. An act, abstinence or promise is called a consideration. Similarly, the party may derive benefit, suffer loss or damages or inconvenience. It will be regarded as a consideration for the promise. The next one is performance of existing obligation is no consideration. The performance of an act by a person who is already bound to perform the same either as a public duty or under the existing contractual obligation cannot be consideration for a contract. So the last point is forbearances to sue is a good consideration. Forbearances issue to or a promise to forbear where requested will support a promise by another. It is abstinence within the meaning of section 2 subsection D of the contract. Friends, we are going to discuss about exception to the rule no consideration no contract. So exception to the rule no consideration no contract is the general rule is that an agreement made without consideration is void. Section 24 and Section 185 of the Indian Contract Act dealt with the exceptions to the rule. In such cases, the agreement would be enforceable even though they are made without consideration. The first point is love and affection. Agreement made out of natural love and affection, that is section 25 subsection 1 says that agreement made without consideration is void unless it is expressed in writing and registered under the law for the time being in force for registration of documents and is made on account of natural love and affection between parties standing in a near relation to each other. So, an agreement without consideration is enforceable if it is made out of love and affection. The love and affection is natural because the parties are related to each other. The agreement is in writing and the agreement is registered under law. I will give a simple example to you. P, for natural love and affection, promises to give his son Q rupees 5,000. P puts his promise to Q in writing and gets it registered. This is enforceable even though there is no consideration. The second point is agreement to compensate for past voluntary services. Section 25 subsection 2 says that if it is a promise to compensate wholly or in part a person who has already voluntarily done something for the promiser or something which the promiser was legally compellable to do. Thus, a promise is enforceable if the promise has already voluntarily done something for the promiser or the promisee does something which promiser was legally bound to do and the promiser makes a promise to compensate the promisee for that act. I will give a simple example to you. A finds B's purse and gives it to him. B promises to give A rupees 100. This is a contract even though there is no consideration for B's promise to pay. The third point is agreement to pay a time-barred debt. Section 25 subsection 3 says that a promise to pay wholly or in part a debt which is barred by the law of limitation can be enforced if the promise is in writing and is signed by the debtor and his authorized agent. Such a promise can be enforced if the debtor or his authorized agent makes written and signed promise to repay. For example, X owns rupees 10,000 to R, but this debt is barred by the Limitation Act. As such, R cannot recover this money, but X signs a written promise to pay rupees 10,000. R can recover rupees 10,000 on the basis of this promise, though the promise is without consideration. The reason of his promise being without consideration is that the debt had become time barred and had no value in the eyes of law. In the eyes of law, it is a fresh promise not being supported by consideration, but it is enforceable under the above exception. The next point is completed gift. Section 25 and explanation of subsection 1 says that nothing in this section shall affect the validity as between the donor and donee of any gift actually made. Thus, transfer of property by one person to the other as a gift according to the provisions of the Transfer of Property Act, that is, by a written and registered document, is valid, and a person transferring the property cannot subsequently demand the property back on the ground that there was no consideration. For example, I will give a simple example. Listen carefully. A brings a radio from Japan and presents it to his friend B. Later on, he wants the radio back from B on the plea that B has not given any consideration. His plea would not be sustained because the rule of consideration does not apply to gifts that have already been made. But where A promises to give the radio to B for no return, B cannot enforce the promise because it is not supported by consideration. The next point is contract of agency. Under section 185, no consideration is required to create an agency agreement. The next point is remission or compromise by the promisee of performance of the promise. Section 63 says that for compromising a due debt, no consideration is necessary. Thus, a creditor can agree to give up a part of his claim, and there need not be consideration for such an agreement. Similarly, an agreement to extend time for performance of a contract need not be supported by consideration. The next and last point is contribution to charity. A promises to contribute for a charitable cause can be enforced at law even though such a promise is without consideration. However, a promisee must be able to prove that on the basis of such a promise, some financial commitments are given for the object of such charitable cause. For example, A promised to pay rupees 20 lakhs to charitable hospital. On the basis of promise, charitable hospital appointed a contractor. Such an agreement without consideration is valid. So, thank you so much, friends.